It was 1:03 a.m. on April 9th, 2017, in Broward County, Florida. The 911 call center was quiet, a fluorescent-lit room humming with servers, radios, and the occasional cough from someone trying to stay awake. Claire Henley, a dispatcher with 10 years on the job, sat behind her console sipping cold coffee, scanning incident logs, and hoping the night would stay uneventful. Then a call appeared on her screen. No number, no name, just the word, unknown. She slipped her headset back on, expecting either a hang-up or a pocket dial. But the first thing she heard was water. Not distant rain or a faulty connection, but close, rhythmic sloshing, as if someone were slowly wading through a flooded hallway with the phone against their chest. She leaned forward. Then a man's voice came through. It was quiet, shaking, barely able to push the words out, but unmistakably afraid. He said he was trapped, that he was underwater, and couldn't open the door. Claire froze. She tried to trace the call, but the system threw back an error. No signal origin, no cell tower, no GPS lock, just a digital void, a dead end, wrapped in static. The voice repeated himself, sounding more desperate this time. And then, the line went silent. Within 30 minutes, sheriff's deputies and search teams were scouring the county's waterways. Every storm, drain, canal, and retention pond within a 15-mile radius. Helicopters equipped with thermal cameras scanned from above, their beams cutting through the darkness like searchlights across a battlefield. But there was nothing. No crashed vehicle, no debris, no recent reports of missing persons. By sunrise, the incident had been logged as a probable prank and quietly closed. But Claire couldn't shake it. She'd taken thousands of calls over the years. Car wrecks, shootings, suicides. But something about this one lingered. It wasn't just the voice. It was the feeling that whoever he was, he hadn't finished speaking. For weeks, she dreamed of water. Still, black canals that stretched wider than they should. Flooded streets that echoed with faint whispers beneath the surface. She changed her route home to avoid bridges. She started locking her bedroom door. And every April, she began to dread the calendar. 1 year later, on April 9th, 2018, Claire was retired. She lived alone in a modest condo in Pompano Beach, far enough inland to feel safer, but close enough to hear gulls in the morning. She'd left the job not long after the call, not because of burnout, but because of a sense she couldn't name. Something she hadn't told anyone about. Something that felt like it was still unfolding. At 1:07 a.m., her landline rang. She hadn't heard that sound in months. When she checked the caller ID, the screen showed the same word she remembered: unknown. She let it ring longer than she should have, then picked up the receiver. The sound on the other end was static at first, dry and whispering, followed by the same sloshing water she remembered. But this time, it was louder. Closer. She could almost feel it through the handset. Then came the voice again. Not changed. Not aged. Just the same. As though it had never stopped speaking. The message was brief, but it was enough. Claire dropped the phone, and it bounced once against the carpet before falling still. When she checked the call log the next morning, there was no record of the call. She unplugged the landline and placed it in a drawer. She didn't answer the phone again for a very long time. In the years that followed, the same call appeared in other places. 4 separate emergency dispatch centers: Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Naples, all reported receiving a nearly identical transmission. Each time, it arrived shortly after 1 a.m. on April 9th. The words varied slightly. Sometimes the caller claimed he couldn't breathe. Sometimes he said the door wouldn't open. Sometimes it was just a plea for help, spoken softly, as if the speaker had already given up. But the voice was always the same. And so was the water. Attempts to trace the signal failed across the board. Each call originated from nowhere, as if pulled in from a missing space on the map. Operators who worked the graveyard shift began referring to it as the Drowning Man, a name spoken half jokingly and half afraid. Claire kept in touch with one former co-worker, Maria, who still worked dispatch. They met for coffee occasionally, always during the day, somewhere dry. In 2020, Maria confessed that the call had come through her own console. She'd recognized the pattern immediately, the timing, the water, the voice. And then, as if that weren't enough, the voice spoke her name. Claire didn't meet Maria again after that. She stopped using her phone at night altogether. And every April 9th, she left town, driving north until her GPS signal dropped out completely. Even then, sometimes, she swore she could feel the phone vibrating from inside her bag. She never looked. By 2023, the story had spread to the internet. It started in fringe Reddit threads, then made its way to podcasts, YouTube compilations, and so-called modern legend lists. Most of it was wrong, dates confused, locations exaggerated, but the core detail always stayed the same. A voice, a flood of water, a call that came from nowhere and never stopped repeating. That's when Ethan Cole discovered it. A freelance journalist with a YouTube following just large enough to care, Ethan specialized in obscure mysteries, vanishing hikers, haunted radio frequencies, time-slip stories, anything strange enough to stick. The Drowning Man gripped him immediately. He spent weeks compiling police logs, open-source recordings, and second-hand reports. He even contacted Claire, now living in near-complete isolation. After ignoring him for some time, she finally replied. Her message was short, and it came with a warning. She said it wasn't a prank, it wasn't a person, and that he should stop looking. Ethan didn't stop. What he found was a decommissioned county access tunnel near Deerfield Beach, a collapsed drainage system from the late 1970s, sealed off and long forgotten. During the dry season, the waterline dipped just low enough to expose the tunnel entrance. So he went in. On March 28, 2023, Ethan live-streamed his investigation. The footage showed him cutting through vines, prying open a rusted gate, and stepping into the sloping mouth of the tunnel. It was narrow. The concrete walls were streaked with algae. The floor was slick with runoff. The deeper he went, the darker it became. His flashlight cut through the murk like a blade, casting jittery shadows against the walls, where viewers began to notice scratch marks. Long, deep gouges. Human. Desperate. The chat exploded with warnings. Some viewers claimed they could hear the water before Ethan even reached it. And then, at the very edge of the tunnel, the flashlight landed on a shape. It was pressed against the far wall, half submerged, half smeared, like a body caught between two surfaces. Its limbs were bent unnaturally. Its face, if it had one, was stretched, mouth open wide in a silent scream. Then the sound came back. Water. Then the voice, calm, familiar, repetitive. The live stream cut to black. Ethan was never found. The only thing recovered was his cloud footage, and it spread fast. Some claimed it was a hoax. Some said they could see the figure move just before the video ended. Claire watched it once. She didn't sleep for days. She recognized the voice immediately. There was no question in her mind. It was the same man who had called her in 2017. And he was still trapped down there, wherever there was. To this day, dispatch centers across Florida received the same call on April 9th, just after 1 a.m. Always with water in the background. Always the same voice. Sometimes with new words, but never with answers. Claire no longer answers her phone. She keeps it off. Sometimes she doesn't take it with her at all. But every year, she still leaves town. She drives north until she can no longer hear the ocean or see the shimmer of a canal in her rearview mirror. And even then, sometimes, while stopped for gas or walking past a shallow puddle by the roadside, she feels the vibration. Her phone lights up, and on the screen, there are just 2 words. Still here.